Hey guys, welcome to Kids Rock. My name is Aaron Bailey and I'm so glad that you're here with us this week. We're in week 3 of Password. If you're joining us on campus, someone is going to come up on the stage and begin worship with you. If you're joining us online, we're going to jump right into the Bible story.
Jesus got into a boat and crossed the Sea of Galilee. He stood on the shore, and a large crowd gathered around him. Then Jairus, one of the rulers in the synagogue, fell at Jesus' feet and begged for his help. "My daughter is about to die. Please come touch her so she will be healed and live," he said. Jesus went with Jairus, and many people followed, crowding around him. In the crowd was a woman who had been bleeding for 12 years. She had seen many doctors and spent all her money, but no one could help her. She was getting worse. The woman had heard about Jesus, so she came up behind him in the crowd and touched his clothes. She said to herself, "If I touch even his clothes, I will be healed." As soon as she touched Jesus' clothes, her bleeding stopped and she knew she was healed. At that moment, Jesus felt that power had gone out of him. He turned around and said, "Who touched my clothes?" Jesus' disciples pointed out that many people were crowded around him, but Jesus kept looking around. The woman, knowing she was healed, came forward and fell before Jesus. She told him what had happened. Jesus said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace. You are healed." While Jesus was speaking, some men came from Jairus' house and said, "Your daughter is dead. Do not bother Jesus anymore." Jesus heard what the men said, and he told Jairus, "Do not be afraid. Just believe." Jesus and 3 of his disciples went to Jairus' house. The people there were crying and wailing loudly. Jesus said, "Why are you crying? The child is not dead. She is sleeping." The people laughed at Jesus, and he told them all to go. Jesus took Jairus and his wife into the room where the child was. He took the girl by the hand and said, "Little girl, get up." Immediately, the girl got up and began walking around. Jairus and his wife were amazed. Jesus told them to give the girl some food and to not tell anyone what had happened. By healing the woman and raising the little girl from the dead, Jesus showed his power as the Messiah. Jesus died on the cross and rose again to save people from sin and death. When we trust in Jesus, God forgives our sin and changes us to be more like his Son.
Let's read Mark chapter 5, verses 21 through 24 and 35 through 43. And it says this: Jesus got into the boat again and went back to the other side of the lake, where a large crowd gathered around him on the shore. Then a leader of the local synagogue, whose name was Jairus, arrived. When he saw Jesus, he fell at his feet, pleading fervently with him. "My little daughter is dying," he said. "Please come and lay your hands on her. Heal her so she can live." Jesus went with him, and all the people followed, crowding around him. Then Jesus went with the crowd, and a lady out of the crowd who had been hurting for 12 years reached out and touched him, and Jesus healed her. So Jesus brought life to the hurting woman. And we're going to pick up in verse 35, where he's still talking to the woman that he had just healed. And it says this: While he was still speaking to her, messengers arrived from the home of Jairus, the leader of the synagogue. They told him, "Your daughter is dead. There's no use troubling the teacher now." But Jesus overheard them and said to Jairus, "Don't be afraid. Just have faith." Then Jesus stopped the crowd and wouldn't let anyone go with him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. When they came to the home of the synagogue leader, Jesus saw much commotion and weeping and wailing. He went inside and asked, "Why all this commotion and weeping? The child isn't dead, she's only asleep." The crowd laughed at him, but he made them all leave. And he took the girl's father and mother and his 3 disciples into the room where the girl was lying. Holding her hand, he said to her, "Talitha koum," which means, "Little girl, get up." And the girl, who was 12 years old, immediately stood up and walked around. They were overwhelmed and totally amazed. Jesus gave them strict orders not to tell anyone what had happened, and then he told them to give her something to eat.
Hey guys, I want you all to close your eyes and think about your best day ever. You could think about where you'd want to go, who you'd want to be with, what you would want to eat. Alright, now you can open your eyes. I bet most of you would want to spend your entire day in lunch detention eating liver pudding and being with Mr. Jacob all day, right? Of course not. Maybe some of you would want to spend the day with your mom or dad or your friends. Maybe some of you would want to go to a theme park or a water park. Or maybe some of you would like to be given a really cool gift like a bike or a Switch. I would say most of us, if given a day to do anything we want, we probably wouldn't want to sit in a room with gray walls and nothing else going on and just see if the color changes. That's not really living life to the fullest. The password to life isn't always getting everything that you want and living without rules. The password to life is having the source of life and a hope that never ends. How amazing would it be to know that no matter what happens today or tomorrow, whether it's good, bad, or just meh, that your best days are ahead of you? Sign me up. This is called hope, and you can't live life to the fullest without hope, and you can't have hope without Jesus. And this would have been very hard for Jairus to believe because his daughter was very sick and she actually died. But where Jesus is, there's life. And Jesus brought Jairus' daughter back to life. Can you imagine how Jairus must have felt going from the worst moments to the best moments? That's what Jesus can do. So no matter what you're going through, you could be having the worst day ever or the best day ever. When you have Jesus, you can know that your best days are always ahead of you. And you can have hope for the future. Because Jesus is the password to life. And with Jesus, we can have hope that tomorrow can be better. And if we believe in him and call him Lord, then one day we'll be with him in heaven and every day will be the best day ever.
All right, now we're going to jump into a time of question and answer. Remember, if you're joining us online, you can pause the video if you need more time to read the question and answer. Question 1. Question 2. Question 3.
Now it's time for our memory verse for this series, which is John 14:6, and it reads this. Jesus told him, "I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to know the Father except through me." Well, that's all we have for Kids Rock this week. If you're on one of our campuses, we're going to go into small groups now. But other than that, we love y'all and we'll see you next week.